I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell all your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I'll sing praises of your name, O Most High. This is the same as I will praise you, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all your wonderful works, and I'll be glad and rejoice in you. I'll sing praise to your name, O Most High. I just wanted to say that because, as it says in the psalm right here, my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you. And indeed, this is truly what happens. It's good to stand for the right. It's good to represent God. It's good to show the world God, and bring praise and glory to his name at all times. This article is done by Danny D. Placido. And he says in this article, in retrospect, Aquaman didn't make any sense to him. And we'll just set this article straight, because Danny de Placido says a lot of erroneous things, showing his misunderstanding of the film as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to read through it. Warner Brothers famously established their DC's cinematic universe in reverse, showing the superhero origin stories after their epic team-up. He says epic established DC cinematic universe. This immediately tells me, since he's using that term, that he doesn't know how else to describe the universe that DC has. So that tells me something. Wonder Woman proved far superior to Justice League, telling the tale of young Diana fighting the God of War and walking away victorious. While Aquaman was also superior to Justice League, the story managed to make the previous film even more ridiculous and nonsensical in comparison. In Aquaman, Arthur Curry does not fight against Poseidon. He fights his half-brother and gets pummeled. It is stated that Arthur isn't used to fighting underwater, but the implication is that his brother is almost as powerful or equally powerful to Aquaman. Aquaman seems to highlight the fact that Arthur is not unique in any way other than blood. He's almost as strong or weak as any Atlantean. The very first scene of the film shows Arthur's mother destroying a room full of super soldiers, and Queen Warrior Mira is just as powerful. Indeed, it seems as though almost every Atlantean boasts super strength, making Arthur Curry just another face in the undersea crowd. His only real superpower seems to be to talk to fish. Why was he even chosen to join the Justice League if there was an entire city of water-breathing superheroes ready to take on Steppenwolf? And first of all, it's false to believe that almost every Atlantean was as strong as Arthur Curry. That is not true. And we also learn that not every Atlantean can come up above into the surface world and breathe air. They also know that the Atlanteans were trying their very best to stay hidden. So all of these things we knew. But that's hidden from the surface world, that is. And while we're at it, why didn't Atlantis fight Steppenwolf with all their magical technology instead of leaving it to 5 superhumans and 1 Superman? The Amazons did their part, even if they got annihilated. Again, it's amazing that this guy can't understand that the Atlanteans tried to stay hidden away from the surface world. And in fact, when Steppenwolf came down, he did not come down to Atlantis in Justice League. He came down to a place that was not Atlantis, where the Mother Box was being protected. I thought that was a very important point for people to realize. But apparently, that point was missed by this guy, which is okay. Okay, so we know why they didn't put a stop to the threat, so the Justice League could form. No. It's because it didn't directly relate to the Atlanteans. It related to Mira and some Atlantean guards which were there with her protecting a mother box. And in Aquaman, Arthur Curry is not a particularly powerful individual because of this is his origin story. It wouldn't fit for him to be a superhero yet, narratively speaking. Yeah, he becomes Aquaman, the full Aquaman at the end of the story with the Trident. But it's important to realize Arthur Curry was not a guy that lived in Atlantis. He was on the fringe of the surface world and the sea world, and that was very important. And it kind of explains, Aquaman kind of explains why Arthur Curry would be so hesitant to join the Justice League. So pretty much Arthur Curry didn't want to be involved, and the people in the sea world didn't want to be involved either. The Atlanteans, they were not, messing with the surface world. So when you think about it, it makes perfect sense that the Atlanteans weren't trying to deal with the threat that was in the surface world. Because Arthur also expressed that opinion. But still, Arthur was almost defeated by some random guy wearing experimental Atlantean armor, painted black. In the world Arthur inhabits, he doesn't seem to be a superhero at all, but just a guy with a birthright, punching above his weight. Well, you could say that about Batman as well. He's got this experimental stuff that he has, Kryptonian stuff that he used to face the Steppenwolf's people and so on, and he was leading the Justice League. So, Iron Man, same thing. So, what is this guy really trying to prove? And these are the things about these articles. They're biased from the get-go. And the reason why I'm even pointing out this article is because there's several other articles. It's because Aquaman is a complete success. Here's this guy trying to show that it's nonsensical. You'll find out exactly why in a minute. There's also the fact that Arthur never really wanted to be king, only showing enthusiasm for the role after going on a fun-filled quest. No, that's not the reason. But his initial reservation, his rejection of responsibility, is never acknowledged again. Again, it's sad because this guy misses the boat on this thing. And it'll be highlighted in the next paragraph. And that was the most interesting thing about Arthur, the fact that he didn't really want to be in this position of power. It was intimidating to him. The guy spent his days getting drunk with his dad and fighting pirates. And suddenly he's desperate to rule the seven seas. Why? Was Queen Mira enough of a trophy? And that's funny because I think this guy's trying to be snarky or something. But let's keep it going, because he's just making the same point. That lack of character development left a gaping hole in an otherwise fun movie. We never got to see Arthur gain a new appreciation for the kingdom he was meant to inherit, or to desire to push the civilization in a brand new direction. And that's so funny, because here's the thing that really throws him off. I'm going to address it in a minute. He says he's almost a bystander in his own story, told by everyone around him to become king. So he did. A comparison to a similar story, Black Panther, highlights Arthur's lack of agency. So the truth is exposed. This guy's a Marvel fan, and he's comparing this film to a Marvel film when they are not the same. See, first of all, Aquaman, aka Arthur Curry, he's not going to become the king of a kingdom, but of the seven seas. But not just the seven seas. See, the point behind Aquaman was that Arthur Curry is not just a king, because Atlantis has always had a king. No, he is going to be a hero. He's someone who represents everyone, not just a kingdom. And that's the difference between what Arthur Curry was doing and Black Panther. Black Panther was T'Challa's the king of, Wakanda. But Aquaman's not the king of Wakanda. He's the king of the seven seas, but he's also a hero. He's beyond a king. He's a hero for every person. The surface world people he's a hero for, and the people of the seas. He fuses the two worlds together, the surface world and the seas. And this guy just completely missed that point, completely missed the boat. And so he was emphasizing at a point, trying to compare this film to Black Panther, when this film is much bigger than Black Panther. This guy is talking about what a hero is, someone who represents everyone, who wants to defend everyone. And as to Arthur's motivation to becoming the king of the seven seas, it's not because of the escapade he had. It was because of his desire to save his home and the people he loved that drove him to do what he did. It's when that tidal wave hit the shoreline and almost killed his father that he realized that Orm was a threat he had to go and confront. He didn't know how he was supposed to do it, in what order he was supposed to do it, and that sent him on a journey. And Mira accompanied him because she took a stand to protect him and to just honor what Vulko was doing. And Vulko had a commitment to Aquaman's mother. So this story goes full circle. It's the mother that provides the drive for her son indirectly, that leads her son to become what he is through Mira and Vulko. And so it's amazing when I hear this guy not understand this film and say it doesn't make sense to him, and talk about how Aquaman misses the boat in terms of he misses character development, and compares it to Black Panther, which is a much smaller story with a much smaller scope. But he's not trying to push any civilization in a brand new direction like Black Panther was to Wakanda, because he's not trying to follow any traditions that Wakanda has. In this case, Aquaman's about a totally different story that encompasses a lot bigger scope. It's much more epic. This is about someone becoming a hero. This is not just about someone becoming a king and changing rules and regulations for his kingdom. No, this is about someone embracing everyone, which is what a hero does. And we see bits and pieces of it in Aquaman on the surface world, when he saves the little girl from the falling bell, when he lifts the debris to let a parent escape with his children. It shows that Aquaman is a hero for everyone. The point that this guy completely misses. Now listen to this foolishness as he tries to compare a Marvel film to a DC film. And that's the thing these guys continuously do, and they miss the boat on the most important and potent issues. And that's when you are one-track mind and you're empty-headed. You're shallow in your thinking. And that's why I say my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you. Why? Because most of the people who are enemies to something, they're small-minded in what they're thinking. You know, and it's the small-minded thinking of these people that leads them down paths that make them look really shallow and hateful, and that's what makes them fail. Go back to this article here. So Danny De Placido, who is known as a Marvel fan and always likes to bash DC, this guy missed the boat on the point of the movie. Totally missed it, which is sad. T'Challa was a reluctant ruler too, understandably afraid of the responsibility he was supposed to inherit. But when Killmonger showed him how Wakanda could be twisted into a warmongering nation, it made him realize that he could change direction too and dissolve the wall between Wakanda and the world. Killmonger inspired T'Challa to break with tradition and do better, to reshape the nation in his own image and help the impoverished people around the globe. Arthur, on the other hand, simply called off a devastating war, which was a pretty easy decision to make. War is bad, peace is good. Arthur did good. Again, unfortunately, this guy totally misses the boat on this story. It was not even about war, just like how Wonder Woman was not about war. This was about a person's journey to embrace being a hero. While it is true that King Orm started pushing Aquaman along that journey, the difference between Killmonger with T'Challa and Aquaman with Orm is T'Challa was already a leader and a ruler. He was seated as a leader and ruler, something he embraced. Okay? Whereas with Aquaman and Arthur Curry he was not even trying to engage any war. He didn't care about the Atlantis because Atlantis had rejected him, as it had rejected his mother. And while Orm pushed him along his journey to becoming the Aquaman, the king of the seven seas, the difference here is where Killmonger was murdered or killed by T'Challa, Aquaman embraced Orm, which was his brother. See, Killmonger wasn't T'Challa's brother. But see, Orm, or Ocean Master, was Aquaman's brother. And Aquaman embraced Orm, saying that we would continue this discussion later. And we see that Orm also, seeing his mother, which sort of drove him in the direction he was going, also was willing to embrace her. Now we know Ocean Master will become Ocean Master later on and forge on, but the point is that when you look at, people talking about Killmonger being the inspiration for having T'Challa break tradition and do better, the difference here is with Aquaman, it wasn't about Orm making Aquaman break tradition or anything like that. What it was about was Orm was the one who was going to attack the surface world and helped us to understand why Aquaman was important and essential in this story. Why he was the bridge between Earth, the surface world, and the sea, and help us to understand why Aquaman is a hero. He's not just the king of the seven seas. Oh no, he's a hero. He goes beyond that to helping people wherever they are. He represents everyone wherever they are. He represents the downtrodden. He represents people who need help. He embraces everyone, not just humans, but also animals and creatures. And that's the power in Aquaman. And this is how they define him as a hero. And so it's different, okay? And they never defined T'Challa as a hero like that. He's a hero to Wakandans, but he's not a hero in terms of a hero to everyone. And that's the difference, okay? So Aquaman goes into much deeper things. Aquaman wasn't supposed to be a tremendously insightful movie, but that doesn't mean it had to be shallow. The ocean is, like, pretty deep. And again, he tries to throw snide comments here. And it's amazing when we see people who are supposedly intelligent being extremely shallow and not realizing that in trying to put down something, you actually help that thing become even greater. Because you can't see it doesn't mean that it is what you think you see. You know. Which leads us to Aquaman's box office, which is quite amazing. It's at 137 million now, and it's worldwide grossed in 629 million as of December 27, which was yesterday. So it's predicted in its box office now to go past Justice League and Man of Steel. So according to Scott Mendelson, it's just grossed over them today, and tomorrow it may get close to $700 million. So that's just very impressive about Aquaman's successes as it's going in the box office. And that links back to the Snyder Cut. Aquaman's success proves Zack Snyder's DCU isn't dead yet. And that's by Stephen M. Colbert. And the DCU is not going anywhere. We already knew this. Jason Momoa constantly praising Zack Snyder's influence on Aquaman. Could the movie's success influence Snyder's future with the DCU after a year of uncertainty, change, and rumor mill churning regarding the DCU? Aquaman is finally out to mostly positive reviews and a huge box office success, pointing a clear way forward for the Embattled franchise. Zack Snyder's cast, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Amber Heard as Mera, and Willem Dafoe as Vulko, introduced Aquaman twice if you count his Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice cameo. And while he let James Wan be the first to properly reveal Atlantis, the H.R. Geiger meets H.P. Lovecraft designs that permeated much of Snyder's universe were clearly embraced by James Wan. And even the cinematography to a high extent and the slow motion action sequences, again, that Zack Snyder style seems to be all over the place. And I guess it's because of the stunt choreographers and people from 300 being involved, I guess, in the movie. While Aquaman's success is hardly going to make anyone do an about-face on the controversial director, it also serves as a validation that maybe there was something to Snyder's vision worth maintaining as the universe moves forward. Okay. Zack Snyder's future with the DCU is minimal. Zack Snyder's time with the DCU is always going to be finite. He had a 5-part story he wanted to tell himself, and he worked with Jeff Johns and others to sketch out a large universal roadmap, but he wasn't going to serve as a sort of Kevin Feige for the DCU. He was always going to be directing his 5 movies, consulting with other writers and directors to help them tell their stories they wanted to tell. Due to the divisive nature of his first installments in the franchise, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and Man of Steel, Warner Bros. Has moved away from Zack Snyder as the central creative in the DCU. He's an executive producer on Aquaman, and he's a producer on Wonder Woman 1984, and may even appear as an executive producer for the films of other characters that he's introduced, but the credit is mostly an honorary title. He'll have minimal involvement in crafting the stories and making creative decisions. However, that doesn't mean his fingerprints won't still be visible in upcoming movies. He set the style and tone for the entire universe and cast every major character so far, with Shazam being the first superhero he didn't introduce himself. While the movies themselves didn't receive high critical praise, Henry Cavill's Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Ezra Miller are well liked by the audiences. While Affleck and Gavill's futures are in question, most fans will love to see them return to their roles. Shazam and Wonder Woman are still full of Snyder. Shazam and Wonder Woman 1984 certainly won't be Snyder movies, but his fingerprints will always be clear in both. With Wonder Woman 1984, it's pretty obvious. He's the one that originally cast Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, developed a backstory, earning himself a writing credit on Wonder Woman. He also served as producer on Wonder Woman. While he may not have had much of a role as he did in the first, it doesn't appear to be at least slightly more substantial than his executive credit on Aquaman. Shazam, on the other hand, seems to exist wholly outside of Snyder's influence, as he's not likely to have any credit on it at all, but the movie still is full of things he brought to the DCU, as we've seen a number of Easter eggs referencing Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Easter eggs alone are certainly not evidence that the movie is embracing everything about what Snyder established, but Snyder's DCU seems to come up a lot with director David F. Sandberg, who even inserted Shazam into Batman v Superman's nightmare sequence, so the memory of Zack Snyder still lives on in the film's production. So clearly Zack Snyder is still alive and kicking in the DCE, even though they're not giving him the credit he deserves necessarily. The directors are definitely doing that. But Warner Brothers doesn't seem to be saying anything on the Snyder Cut, and I hope that they do, because that would help them so much. Which leads me to Zack Snyder's Vero, which last he just did a scene with Batman there. It looks like the stunt double for Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman v Superman, which I think is really cool. And there it is, one of Richard Cetron as requested, which was the stunt double for Batman v Superman for Ben Affleck's Batman, which is really awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The purpose of the video obviously was to highlight Psalms 91, 1-3, which says, "My enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you." The whole point behind it is continue to do good, folks. God has been blessing us in many different ways, but just continue to do good. That's what it's all about. It's about representing Christ, letting the world see who Jesus is, who God is, every step of the way. And yes, people are going to defame you, like they defame Zack Snyder, and even how they're trying to defame right now Aquaman. One or two people trying to take the pen and tear it down because they want their Marvel films to do well. It's sad because when you see people doing this, there's a lot I want to say, but suffice it to say, when you have to compare a film, you don't even understand what the film was about, and you're trying to compare that film very inaccurately to another film to put the film down so you can lift up your brand of stuff, it really is sad. It's a sad day. Okay? So anyway, that's my video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Leave your comments in the comment section. If you want to donate to this channel, you can donate via MoneyGram or Western Union. Let me know when you're going to donate. You guys have a great one.